The mission begins, the rusty vessel. Unimpressed, the snobbish aliens pointed and laughed at the rusty old human vessel as it approached the Galactic Council headquarters, not knowing the approaching rust bucket would soon unleash the fires of hell upon them. Captain Peter Murray. Peter Murray, a rugged and weathered human veteran, was the proud captain of the THS Endeavour, an aging Terran heavy cruiser. Each step Murray took toward the Galactic Council chamber on the neutral planet Axiom Prime seemed to weigh heavily on his back, but his resolve was unyielding. The council chambers. As the automatic doors slid open, Murray strode into the chamber and squinted under the bright lights. Skeptical alien faces glared down at him from elevated seats. The reptilian saurians, insectoid Kilia, and avian Jurand saw little use for the lowly humans. The threat. The ancient and wise saurian leader, Rexa, looked gravely at Murray. Captain, a rogue saurian warlord named Castor has seized a powerful ancient superweapon, the Doomsday Device. This weapon can destroy entire star systems. Castor plans to use it to establish a new galactic order ruled through fear. The dismissal. Murray crossed his arms and snorted, "And you want my primitive species to clean up your mess." Rexa clenched his claws and hissed, "Our forces have been unable to penetrate Castor's defenses. You and your unrefined crew are regrettably our only option." The mockery. As Murray turned to leave, the snickers of alien delegates reached his ears, ridiculing the Endeavor's worn appearance and humanity's perceived weakness. But Murray grinned. These naive aliens would soon learn that the Endeavor was far more than a bucket of bolts. Preparing for battle. The Endeavor shook violently as it dropped out of hyperspace, immediately pelted by a hail of jagged rock shards. Warning klaxons blared on the bridge as radiation alarms flashed red. Murray grabbed the intercom. "Tanaka, shields up now." The response. "Aye, Captain." The young ensign's fingers flew across the control panel, engaging the ship's cutting-edge shielding. A flicker of energy enveloped the hull, deflecting the onslaught of debris. Shields holding steady at 85%. Murray watched the chaotic storm of asteroids on the view screen. The approach. "Plot a course through this mess, ensign." "Nice and steady," Murray commanded. Tanaka nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration as he charted a path through the treacherous field. The Endeavor wove gracefully between the tumbling boulders, its agile maneuvering belying its battered exterior. Discovery. Suddenly, a sharp ping sounded from the sensor station. Lieutenant Chen whipped around in his chair. "Captain, I'm picking up a massive energy reading from a nearby asteroid. It's off the charts." The base. Murray leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Take us in for a closer look, Tanaka. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the Endeavor approached the asteroid, the source of the energy signature came into view. A sprawling saurian base carved into the rock surface, bristling with weapons emplacements. The fleet. A fleet of sleek warships patrolled the perimeter, their hulls glinting in the starlight. "I'd bet my last credit that's where Castor is hiding the Doomsday Device," Murray growled. Tactical. "What's our play?" The plan. Lieutenant Commander Wilson leaned over his console, studying the base's defenses. "We're outgunned and outnumbered, Captain, but we might be able to slip a small team past their sensors using the cloaking device. Get in, locate the weapon, and get out before they know what hit them." The team. Murray nodded. "All right. Maverick, you're with me. Ghost, Hammer, gear up. We're going in." The strike team assembled in the hangar bay, checking their weapons and equipment as they prepared to board the shuttle. The transmission. Ares' smooth voice echoed over the comm. "Captain, I have detected an incoming encrypted transmission from the Saurian base." Murray paused, 1 foot on the shuttle ramp. "Davis, can you decrypt it?" The decision. Lieutenant Davis's fingers were already flying over her console. "Working on it, sir, but it's a tough one. Their encryption is top-notch." Murray hesitated for a moment, torn between waiting for the transmission's contents and the urgency of the mission. "Keep at it, Oracle." But we can't wait. Strike team, move out. Infiltration and discovery. The cloaked shuttle. The shuttle slipped silently from the Endeavor's hangar, its cloaking device shimmering to life as it glided towards the asteroid base. Murray gripped his rifle tightly, his eyes fixed on their target. Whatever secrets that transmission held, they would have to wait. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The approach. The Endeavor's cloaking device shimmered around Murray and his team as they crept through the Saurian base. Relying on Ares' real-time mapping, they navigated a labyrinth of corridors. At each security checkpoint, Ares guided them to hidden access panels, allowing them to bypass the defenses undetected. The ambush. Saurian patrols roamed the halls. When the team encountered a squad, they struck fast and hard. Ghost darted forward, her silenced plasma rifle spitting blue bolts into the aliens' scaly hides. Hammer and Maverick laid down suppressing fire, forcing the Saurians to take cover as Murray closed in, his augmented strength allowing him to crush their skulls with his bare hands. The command center. As they neared the central command center, Murray's comm crackled. "Captain, it's Oracle. I've cracked the encryption on that transmission. The coordinates. What have you got?" Murray whispered, taking cover behind a bulkhead. "Coordinates, sir, to a hidden chamber within the asteroid. Based on the chatter, it's likely where they're keeping the Doomsday device." The decision. Murray checked his chrono. Time was slipping away. He made a split-second decision. "Ghost, with me. We're taking the command center and Castor. Maverick, Hammer, follow those coordinates and secure the device. Move fast and hit hard. The galaxy's counting on us." The split. The team split up. Murray and Ghost sliced through the command center blast doors and stormed inside, weapons blazing. Castor stood at the center of the room, his golden armor glinting beneath the harsh light. His elite Saurian guard fanned out around him, energy blades humming. The battle. Murray grinned wolfishly. "Watch us." He and Ghost leaped into action, their augmented reflexes allowing them to dodge the guard's blades. Murray parried a strike with his combat knife and buried it to the hilt in a Saurian's eye. Ghost vaulted over a console, her rifle stitching a line of scorched holes across the aliens' chests. The device. Across the base, Maverick and Hammer raced down a hidden passage. They emerged into a vast chamber dominated by a pulsating orb of crackling energy. The Doomsday device. Maverick approached the device cautiously, his scanner whirring. "All right, let's shut this thing down and get out of here." The countdown. But as he tried to access the control panel, alarms blared. The chamber doors slammed shut, locking them in. A countdown appeared on the screen, the numbers ticking down rapidly. "It's a fail-safe." Maverick pounded the console. "The device is going to detonate." The overload. Maverick's fingers danced across the Doomsday device's control panel, sweat beading on his forehead as he raced against the countdown. Hammer stood at the chamber entrance, his rifle barking as he cut down wave after wave of Saurian reinforcements, their scaly bodies hitting the floor twitching. The desperation. Maverick gritted his teeth, his mind whirring as he interfaced with the alien technology. Suddenly, he spotted a vulnerability in the power cord shielding, a way to overload the system and destroy the device. The climax. In the command center, Murray grappled with Castor, the Saurian's claws raking across his armored chest. Murray's augmented muscles strained as he fought to keep the warlord's snapping jaws from his throat. "Understood," Murray grunted, headbutting Castor and sending him reeling. "Ghost, keep these bastards off me." The conclusion. Ghost nodded, her rifle flashing as she engaged the Saurian guard. Her movements were a blur as she dodged energy blades and returned fire, every shot finding its mark. Maverick overloaded the core. "Murray," he roared, blood seeping from a gash above his eye. "Blow this thing to hell." Escape and revelation. The detonation. Maverick's hands flew over the controls, initiating the overload sequence. The doomsday device thrummed with power, the chamber shaking as its energy fields destabilized. "Captain, this whole place is coming down," Hammer shouted into his comm, ducking as a chunk of ceiling crashed down beside him. "We need evac, now." The extraction. On the Endeavor's bridge, Tanaka's eyes widened as he saw the readings from the strike team's suit sensors. "Heirs, get a lock on their position. Prepare for immediate extraction." Back in the command center, Murray finally gained the upper hand, slamming Castor to the ground and pinning him with a boot to the throat. But the Saurian only laughed, blood bubbling from his lips. "You may have won this battle, human," he hissed, "but you will burn with us." His claw stabbed down on a control panel, and alarms blared throughout the base. "Self-destruct sequence initiated," a cold mechanical voice announced. "Detonation in T-minus 60 seconds. The rush. Time to go," Murray shouted, hauling Ghost towards the exit. Maverick and Hammer sprinted from the collapsing chamber, the doomsday device sparking and pulsing behind them. The team raced through the crumbling corridors, leaping over fallen debris and blasting through sealed bulkheads. The timer ticked down in their ears, a relentless countdown to oblivion. The hangar bay. They burst into the hangar bay, the Endeavor waiting with open airlocks. The team dived inside, Tanaka punching the engines to full throttle before the doors had fully sealed. The Endeavor tore away from the asteroid just as the base exploded, a blinding flash of light consuming the rock and the nightmarish weapon within. Shockwaves buffeted the ship, alarms screaming as the crew fought to maintain control. The calm. And then, silence. The Endeavor sailed through the debris field, the only sound the hum of its engines and the heavy breathing of its crew. Murray slumped against the bulkhead, his armor scorched and dented. Ghost, Maverick, and Hammer stood beside him, equally battered but alive. They had done it. Against all odds, they had destroyed the doomsday device and thwarted Castor's genocidal ambitions. The galaxy, for now, was safe. The distress call. But as Murray looked out at the stars, he knew their mission was far from over. The Endeavor shuddered as it pulled away from the smoldering remains of the asteroid base. Murray slumped into his command chair, his body aching from the brutal fight with Castor. Around him, the bridge crew tended to their stations, their faces haggard but proud. "Helm, set a course for Axiom Prime," Murray ordered, his voice rough with exhaustion. "Let's go home." The interruption. But before Ensign Tanaka could input the coordinates, a shrill alarm pierced the air. Lieutenant Chen whirled to face Murray, his eyes wide. "Captain, we're picking up a distress call from the Jiran colony on Theta 9. They're under attack." The decision. Murray leaned forward, his fatigue forgotten. On screen. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a scene of chaos. Sleek Saurian warships swarmed around the colony's orbital defenses, their weapons carving molten scars into the station's hulls. Desperate calls for help crackled over the comm. The final stand. The assault. Murray's jaw tightened. They were the only ship close enough to respond. He turned to Tanaka. "Ensign, lay in a course for Theta 9, maximum burn. Maverick, get on the horn to Axiom Prime. Let them know we've been delayed." As the crew scrambled to action, the Endeavor leaped into hyperspace, the stars blurring into streaks of light. The battle. Moments later, they dropped back into real space above Theta 9, the colony's besieged defenses coming into view. Lieutenant Davis studied her radoubts, her brow furrowed. "I count 6 Saurian warships, Captain. Frigates and destroyers, heavily armed. They're led by—" She hesitated. "A flagship we've never seen before." "The flagship. What is it?" Murray demanded. Davis swallowed hard. "It's the Saurian flagship, sir. Registry matches Commander Zekor. Castor's second in command." "The hail." "Hail them," Murray ordered, rising from his chair. Zor's reptilian visage filled the view screen, his eyes burning with hatred. Terran vessel, this is Commander Zakor of the Saurian Imperium. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and your deaths will be swift. The Defiance. Murray stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. This is Captain Peter Murray of the THS Endeavor. I don't take orders from genocidal maniacs. You want to fight, you scaly bastard. Come and get it. Zakor snarled, baring his fangs. So be it, human. Prepare to be annihilated. The engagement. The view screen went dark, replaced by the looming hulls of the Saurian warships. They turned as one, their weapons bristling with deadly intent. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Murray barked. Maverick, target their flagship's engines. Let's take Zakor down a peg. The maneuvers. As klaxons blared throughout the ship, the Endeavor surged forward, its advanced thrusters propelling it towards the Saurian fleet. Plasma cannons flashed, the void between the ships erupting with deadly light. The Endeavor shook as enemy fire impacted against its shields. On the bridge, sparks flew from overloaded consoles, the acrid scent of burnt circuitry filling the air. The impact. Shields at 60%. Ensign Tanaka reported, his fingers flying over the controls. Murray gripped the armrests of his chair, his eyes locked on the flagship. Maverick now. Maverick's fingers danced across his console, the eye-assisted targeting system zeroing in on the flagship's engines with pinpoint accuracy. A salvo of quantum torpedoes leaped from the Endeavor's launch tubes, streaking towards their target. The hit. The flagship tried to evade, but it was too late. The torpedoes slammed into its aft section, the resulting explosion tearing through its shields and hull. The mighty warship listed to one side, its engines flickering and dying. Direct hit. Maverick crowed. Their engines are offline, Captain. The boarding. Murray allowed himself a tight smile. Hammer, take Ghost and a boarding party. Secure that ship and bring me Zakor in chains. Hammer nodded, a fierce grin splitting his face. With pleasure, sir. The confrontation. The assault. As the Marines readied their assault shuttles, the Endeavor pressed its advantage, its weapons pounding the Saurian fleet with relentless precision. The enemy ships reeled under the onslaught, their formation crumbling. But even as the tide turned in their favor, Oracle's console lit up with a flurry of alerts. The Discovery. Captain, I'm intercepting a series of encoded transmissions between the Saurian ships. They're coming from a hidden outpost in the nearby Theos Nebula. Murray leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. A hidden outpost. What are they saying? The revelation. Oracle shook her head, her fingers racing to decrypt the transmissions. It looks like they're requesting reinforcements and resupply. The outpost has been providing Zakor's forces with advanced weaponry and equipment. The decision. Murray slammed his fist on the armrest, his mind racing. They couldn't allow Zakor to receive those reinforcements. The Endeavor was holding its own for now, but against a fully supplied Saurian battle group. He turned to Maverick and Ghost. New plan. You two will lead a strike team to infiltrate that outpost and take it out. Cut off Zakor's supply line at the source. The determination. Maverick and Ghost exchanged a glance, their expressions hardening with resolve. They knew what was at stake. As the strike team prepared to depart, Murray turned back to the view screen, watching as the Endeavor's guns tore into the Saurian ships. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The infiltration. In the heart of the Theos Nebula, a hidden enemy lay waiting, its claws poised to strike. But Murray and his crew would be ready. They would fight to their last breath to defend the innocent and protect the galaxy from the Saurian threat, no matter the cost. The stealth approach. The captured Saurian shuttle drifted through the void, its hull pitted and scarred from countless battles. Inside, Maverick and Ghost sat in tense silence, their strike team arrayed behind them. The shuttle shuddered as it passed through the outpost's defensive perimeter, but no alarm sounded. Their ruse had worked. The hangar bay with a soft thud, The shuttle touched down in a remote hangar bay. The strike team moved out, weapons at the ready. The bay was eerily quiet, the only sound the hum of distant machinery. Suddenly, a blast door hissed open, and a squad of Saurian troops poured into the bay, plasma rifles blazing. The firefight. The strike team dove for cover, returning fire with precise bursts. Maverick sprinted for a nearby control panel, his fingers flying over the alien interface. "Cover me," he yelled, ducking as a plasma bolt sizzled over his head. Ghost was a blur of motion, her plasma rifle spitting blue death. Saurian after Saurian fell, their armor smoking. The final push. The access. The rest of the strike team pressed forward, slowly gaining ground. With a triumphant shout, Maverick slammed his fist on the control panel. The hangar bay doors slammed shut, cutting off the Saurian reinforcements. The team quickly dispatched the remaining defenders. "Turrets are down," Maverick reported, his breath coming in short gasps. "We've got a clear path to the central lab." The lab. The strike team moved out, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the outpost. They encountered sporadic resistance, but Maverick's skills with Saurian technology proved invaluable. He hacked security doors and disabled automated defenses, allowing the team to push deeper into the facility. The orbital battle. In the Juran colony's orbit, the Endeavour danced through a storm of plasma fire, its shields flaring with each impact. On the bridge, Murray gripped the arms of his command chair, his eyes locked on the tactical display. "Tanaka, bring us about," he barked. "Maverick, target their weapon systems." The assault. The Endeavour spun on its axis, presenting a narrow profile to the enemy ships. Its pulse cannons flashed, raking the Saurian vessels with deadly precision. On the Saurian flagship's bridge, Hammer stood over a battered and beaten Zakor, his massive fist clenched around the Saurian's neck. Zakor hissed in pain, his claws scrabbling weakly at Hammer's grip. "The EMP weapon." "A weapon," he gasped. "To destroy your technological advantage. Your ships will be helpless." Hammer's eyes widened. He tapped his comm. "Captain, we've got a problem. They've got some kind of EMP weapon in development. It could knock out our systems." The confrontation. In the outpost's central lab, Maverick and Ghost exchanged a grim look. They burst through the doors, plasma rifles blazing. Saurian scientists scattered, some reaching for weapons of their own. There, in the center of the lab, stood a pulsating, glowing device. The EMP weapon. The fight. Maverick sprinted for the control console, his fingers flying over the keys. Suddenly, a plasma bolt sizzled past his ear. He spun, coming face to face with a towering Saurian in ornate armor. "Admiral Zorak." "Foolish human," Zorak hissed, his plasma rifle leveled at Maverick's chest. "You cannot stop what is to come." The sacrifice. Ghost appeared from the shadows, a blur of speed and fury. She slammed into Zorak, knocking his rifle aside. The two warriors fell to the ground, a tangle of claws and armored limbs. With a final, desperate keystroke, the device powered down, its glow fading. Maverick sagged with relief. The victory. Behind him, Ghost and Zorak fought on, a deadly dance of strikes and counterstrikes. Ghost moved with inhuman speed, her augmented reflexes allowing her to dodge Zorak's slashing claws. In a blur of motion, she swept Zorak's legs out from under him, sending the massive Saurian crashing to the floor. She leveled her plasma rifle at his head, her finger tightening on the trigger. The aftermath. The interrogation. "Wait," Zorak hissed, his eyes wide with fear. "You don't understand. This is only the beginning." Ghost paused, her rifle unwavering. "What are you talking about?" Zorak laughed, a rasping, hissing sound. "Operation Exodus. This outpost is just one of many. We have facilities across Saurian space, each working on a different piece of the puzzle." The revelation. Maverick and Ghost exchanged a worried glance. This was bigger than they had realized. Much bigger. Maverick tapped his comm, "Captain, we've got a situation here. Zorax says this outpost is part of something called Operation Exodus. There are more facilities out there, all working on some kind of master plan." The threat. Ghost and Maverick exchanged a grim look as Zorax's words sank in. Operation Exodus, a galaxy-spanning plot to neutralize each species' strengths, one by one, and humanity was first on the chopping block. Ghost's rifle barked, a plasma bolt searing through Zorax's skull. The Saurian admiral crumpled to the floor, his secrets dying with him. The escape. "We need to move," Maverick said, his fingers flying over the outpost control panel. Zorax triggered a self-destruct sequence. The strike team raced through the corridors, alarms blaring in their ears. They burst into the hangar bay, their shuttle waiting. Plasma fire chased them up the ramp, the Saurian elites hot on their heels. Maverick punched the throttle, the shuttle leaping forward. The outpost exploded behind them, a blinding flash of light consuming the facility and the secrets it held. The transmission. On the Endeavor's bridge, Murray watched the outpost's destruction on the view screen. A grim sense of satisfaction mingled with a growing unease in his gut. "Captain, incoming transmission from Axiom Prime," Oracle reported, her fingers dancing across her console. "It's Counselor Rexer." The Council. The Saurian counselor's holographic image flickered to life, his reptilian features etched with worry. "Captain Murray, I have grave news. The Council has uncovered evidence of a Saurian plot called Operation Exodus. They plan to conquer the galaxy by systematically targeting each species' unique strengths." The response. Rexer nodded. "I'm afraid so. You must return to Axiom Prime immediately. The Council is convening an emergency session to discuss our response to this threat." As the transmission ended, Murray turned to Tanaka. "Ensign, lay in a course for Axiom Prime, maximum burn." The Coalition. The Endeavor leaped into hyperspace, the stars blurring into streaks of light. In the conference room, Murray gathered his senior staff. "Oracle, I need you to dig into the data we pulled from the outpost," he said, leaning forward. "Look for any clues about the scope of Operation Exodus, communication logs, supply chains, anything." The intel. Murray turned to Hammer. "Lieutenant, reach out to your contacts in Terran intelligence. See if they have any information on the Saurians' leadership. Someone has to be pulling the strings." As the Endeavor dropped out of hyperspace above Axiom Prime, Murray and his crew were greeted by a sea of ships. Vessels from every corner of the galaxy hung in orbit, a testament to the severity of the situation. The assembly. In the council chamber, Murray stood before the assembled delegates. Some nodded in greeting, their faces etched with gratitude. Others looked upon him with suspicion, their eyes narrowed. "Captain Murray," Rexer began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Council thanks you for your efforts in uncovering the Saurian plot, but some among us question the wisdom of relying on human intervention in this matter." The defense. Murray opened his mouth to respond, but a sudden commotion at the chamber's entrance cut him off. A young Xerian aide rushed in, his feathers ruffled with panic. "Counselors, a massive Saurian fleet has just emerged from hyperspace on the outskirts of the system. They're being led by a ship we've never seen before." The Overlord. The chamber erupted into chaos, delegates shouting over each other in fear and confusion. Murray felt a cold knot form in his stomach. Oracle's console chirped, her eyes widening as she read the incoming data. "Captain, I've identified the Saurian command ship. It's registered to an individual known only as the Overseer, believed to be the mastermind behind Operation Exodus." The threat. Murray's grip tightened on the podium, his knuckles white. The Overseer, the puppet master behind the Saurian threat. And now he was here, on Axiom Prime's doorstep. The Saurian fleet hung in space, a swarm of angular ships bristling with weapons. At the center of the formation, a massive dreadnought loomed, its hull painted a deep, menacing black. The Overseer. On the dreadnought's bridge, A lone figure stood silhouetted against the starfield. The overseer, his eyes glinted beneath his hood, fixed on the glittering jewel of Axiom Prime below. "The time has come," he rasped, his voice like gravel. "Today we begin the final phase of Operation Exodus. Today, the galaxy learns the true power of the Saurian Imperium." He turned to his waiting subordinates, his cloak swirling around him. "All ships, prepare for orbital bombardment. Target the council chamber. Let the galaxy watch as their leaders burn." The reckoning. The alarm. In the council chamber, alarms blared. Delegates raced for their ships, desperate to escape the impending attack. Murray pushed through the chaos, his crew close behind. "Get to the Endeavor," he shouted over the din. "We need to get the council out of here." The Unity. The council chamber erupted into pandemonium, delegates shouting over one another in a cacophony of fear and desperation. Some called for immediate surrender, insisting that resistance was futile against the might of the Saurian armada. Murray slammed his fist on the podium, the sound echoing through the chamber like a thunderclap. The delegates fell silent, their eyes fixed on the human captain.